Long ago, in a gentle corner of the world, nestled between emerald hills and winding streams, was a village where the days drifted by in peace and harmony. The people who lived there were known for their kindness and diligence, nurturing their fields and their friendships with equal care. Among them, there was a young man named An, whose sharp mind and quick wit were the pride of his parents and the marvel of his neighbors. From an early age, An could solve riddles that stumped even the elders, and his clever ideas sparked lively conversations in the village square. If ever a problem arose, a stubborn lock, a tangled fishing net, a puzzling illness, An's thoughts danced swiftly toward solutions that others struggled to find. Yet, for all his intelligence, An bore a flaw as stubborn as any weed in the field. He was lazy. Whenever a task demanded his hands, he shrugged and smiled, offering his favorite excuse. "Why rush? I can always do it tomorrow." His friends, amused by his charm, believed that his cleverness would lead him to success, perhaps even greatness. "He'll find a way," they assured one another. "An's mind is as quick as a river current." But as the seasons turned, the truth became painfully clear. Intelligence without effort is like a field without seeds. It may look promising in the spring, but when harvest time arrives, it will yield nothing. When the planting season returned, the villagers gathered before sunrise, shoulders squared and spirits high. They tilled the land, sowed seeds, and worked together beneath the warming sun. Children chased butterflies between neat rows, while elders taught the rhythms of planting to the young. The whole village vibrated with hope and effort, each person contributing to the promise of a fruitful year. An, however, lingered beneath his blanket, relishing the comfort of an extra hour's sleep. When he finally rose, he stretched lazily and gazed at the clear blue sky. "The sun is too hot today," he reasoned. "I'll plant tomorrow. A few days won't matter." He wandered through the village square, chatting with friends, dreaming up clever schemes, but never touching a hoe or scattering a single seed. Tomorrow became next week. Next week faded into next month. By the time An finally trudged to his field, the soil had dried and hardened. Around him, neighbors' lands shimmered with green shoots, the promise of rice and vegetables swaying in the gentle breeze. His own plot was barren, lifeless, dust swirling with every step. Neighbors came to warn him, their voices filled with concern. "And if you don't plant now, you will have nothing to harvest later. The land cannot wait forever." But An laughed, brushing off their warnings. "Relax," he replied. "Crops will grow whenever I plant them. There's plenty of time." As the months passed, the village glowed with golden rice fields. Families joined hands in the harvest, singing songs and sharing laughter as they gathered the fruits of their labor. In the evenings, they celebrated with feasts, grateful for the bounty that filled their baskets and their hearts. An stood alone in his empty, weed-choked field, watching the festivities from a distance. There was nothing for him to cut, nothing to carry home, nothing to eat. Hunger gnawed at his belly, but regret gnawed deeper still. Yet his old habits persisted, and he whispered to himself, "Never mind. Next year will be different. I'll work harder then." When the next planting season arrived, An made a promise to himself. This year, he would sow his seeds. But laziness clung to him like a shadow, and he delayed, waiting for a perfect moment that never came. Finally, he scattered rice grains just as the others' crops began to flower. His field sprouted fragile shoots, hope flickering in An's heart. But fate is not kind to procrastinators. Dark clouds gathered, and a violent storm descended upon the village. Rain flooded An's field, drowning his late-planted crops before they could ripen. The villagers, who had harvested and stored their grain in time, weathered the storm unscathed, and collapsed in the mud, tears streaming down his cheeks, mingling with the rain. Seeing his despair, the village elder took pity on An. He offered him one last chance to craft wooden tables and chairs for the new community hall. An's spirits lifted, eager to prove himself. He purchased fine wood and sharp tools, imagining the admiration of his neighbors. But as the days slipped by, laziness reclaimed An. He told himself, This job isn't urgent. I'll start tomorrow. The wood sat outside, exposed to the sun's glare and the damp breath of the rain. Slowly, it warped and cracked, and termites gnawed away at its strength. When the deadline arrived, Anne had nothing but piles of ruined timber. No tables, no chairs, nothing to show for his promise. The elder shook his head in disappointment and gave the job to another, more reliable villager. From that day forward, no one trusted Anne with important work. He drifted through life, scraping by with small, menial tasks, never earning enough to lift himself from poverty. Years passed, and the village changed. His friends built sturdy homes, raised loving families, and enjoyed the comfort of their hard-earned prosperity. An remained alone, his hut crumbling, his clothes threadbare, his spirit heavy with regret. He watched children play in the fields he once neglected and listened to the laughter of old friends gathered around tables he never built. Each evening, as the sun slipped behind the hills, Anne sat outside his broken home, gazing into the fading light. His hair had turned gray, his hands thin and calloused, his heart burdened by memories of chances lost. He whispered to the night, "If only I had planted earlier. If only I had worked when I had the chance. If only I hadn't wasted so much time." But the world did not answer, and his regrets echoed into emptiness. The story of Anne teaches us a lesson that endures across generations. Laziness is a quiet thief. It does not steal with violence or cunning, but with gentle whispers and empty promises. It steals opportunities while we wait. It steals time while we dream. And it steals our future while we rest. Even the brightest mind cannot succeed without effort, for dreams require action, and fields require seeds. Opportunities do not linger forever. If you wait for tomorrow, you may find that tomorrow has already slipped away. The people who build, who plant, who act, these are the ones who gather the harvest of their hopes. Anne's life ended not as an inspiration, but as a warning. He had the ability to succeed, but lacked the discipline to act. So remember this: don't wait, don't postpone, and don't let laziness write your story. Every small step you take today is a seed for tomorrow's harvest, and every moment you waste is gone forever. The question remains: will you be like An, regretting the life you never lived? Or will you act now and build the future you deserve? The choice is yours.